Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and my perfect 2024 offseason plan for the Las Vegas Raiders is presented by True Classic. I know, Mitch, you don't got a jersey on backwards. You know why? Because I wanted to show you how awesome and how comfortable True Classic shirts are, and you can go get started by going to trueclassic.com/chatsports. That link's going to be available to you all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. I mean, I don't know about y'all. It's almost the summertime, new year, new me. I'm trying to show you my new year, my new fit here. So here's my perfect offseason plan. Step one, I'm going to tell you who I'm going to build the front office with. I'm going to tell you the important people of that coaching staff that I am really trying to retain. Then it's the roster management side of it. Who are we going to cut to save the money? Who are we trying to re-sign? What players am I looking to try to go out there and extend because I'm planning for the long term? Step three, free agency and the 2024 NFL Draft. Now, once the Raiders do name a general manager, we will be going live, and I know a lot of stuff is going to change. My offseason plan, once the Raiders hire a GM, once the Raiders hire a head coach, I'm probably going to have to totally redo this show because that's going to be a totally different direction, right? What I would do is probably different than what Antonio Pierce is going to do. What I would do is probably different than what somebody like potentially like Jim Harbaugh is going to do. My point is this, even though it is the off season, we got no days off around here. Subscribe, turn on those notifications. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Let's go to the very first one here. Build the front office and the coaching staff. If I'm building my perfect Raiders off season, there are 6 names that are very important, and I'll walk you through the 6 positions and the 6 people that I really would want the Raiders to go ahead and bring in here. The general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders would be, for me, Adam Peters. Right now, the Raiders have requested to interview him. He is the assistant general manager for the San Francisco 49ers. A young man, has got a lot of good stuff going for him. Head coach, I'm going to keep Antonio Pierce. Because Adam Peters is our GM, I'm trying to bring over a young offensive coordinator and Klint Kubiak. Klint Kubiak, I love the old Kubiak offenses that they kind of runs first, but they also really, I think you need an athletic quarterback or somebody that can do a little West Coast, a little play action, get it going. So we bring in Klint Kubiak, who's got a lot of good ties. Because I keep Antonio Pierce, I am going to keep Patrick Graham as our DC. To me, that's a package deal. If I don't keep Patrick Graham, I'm going to go a different direction, a head coach with Antonio Pierce. One of the things that I reported about 3 weeks ago was that the Raiders were thinking about bringing on important people and creating new roles. To me, yes, the Raiders are meeting with Trey Brown to be GM. However, I think that they need to give him a little bit of a raise, bring him in as assistant general manager. Right now, he's working with the Cincinnati Bengals, and then I'm going to bring in an advisor, Marvin Lewis. And the reason why I'm bringing in Marvin Lewis, got a lot of ties with Antonio Pierce. He also has a lot of ties with potentially the quarterback that I might be looking for. And some of you are probably like, well, Mitch, why don't you want Champ Kelly? It's not that I don't want Champ Kelly. I'm a believer that he's going to get an opportunity somewhere else, and I am trying to build my perfect offseason. Has Champ Kelly done a good job? Yes, he has. But I think Adam Peters could also do a very good job. On top of that, if Champ Kelly gets hired to be the GM, the Raiders get 2 third comp picks. So I'm looking at as I'm getting 2 extra third-round picks to be able to build for the future here for the Las Vegas Raiders. If your also perfect plan involves having Antonio Pierce as the head coach, I want you to hit that like button right now. And here's the thing. I know there's going to be some people that watch this show that say, Mitch, I really wanted Jim Harbaugh. I'll promise you this. If the Raiders hire Harbaugh, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be live. I'm going to be cheering. To me, it's got to be AP. It's got to be Jim Harbaugh. Or my third option, if both of those guys aren't available, I want Patrick Graham to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now it's time, since I built my front office, okay? Also, I should say with the coaching staff, I'm trying to keep guys like Rob Leonard. I'm trying to keep a guy like Simmons, the defensive backs coach, or Carmen Brasillo, so Edgar Bennett, some of those important coaching staffs. Defensive side, I want to keep. Offense, we'll find some new guys. We'll let Klint bring in some of the dudes that he wants. From a roster management standpoint, as it stands right now that I am making this video, the Las Vegas Raiders have $52.4 million in salary cap space, which is 9th most in the NFL. They have 38 players signed, so you're going to add a lot of players here to the mix, and I also believe that you're going to have to give several extensions this offseason, which, again, I will get to here in just a minute. 9 picks in total, the 13th pick overall, and coming up here on the show, I'm going to be cutting 6 dudes right now, right off the jump. It's the first thing I'm doing. I'm going to cut 6 guys, and I'm going to free up $30.4 million. You free up that type of money, you get a lot more flexibility in the offseason. I'll tell you what, $30.4 million, I don't know how many shirts that gets you from True Classic. It probably gets you over 1 million of them. And not only are they unbelievable, you can wear them while you're hanging out with your friends, a little date night action, maybe for a lot of you golfers out there. Any type of activity, True Classic, they got you. Because they're here to help you get into the new year, out with the old ratty t-shirts and sweat stains and holes, and get yourself some new shirts here from True Classic. Go to trueclassic.com/chatsports. Yes, Raider Nation, I'm talking to you. True Classic's ultra comfortable, perfect fitting essential rain from fitted t-shirts, athleisure, jeans, sweaters, outerwear, and more. True Classic is everything that you need to hit the gym, take it slow, or treat yourself to something nice. They have already helped over 2 million men look great in their apparel, and you can save big right now with us. For a limited time, get 25% off when you shop now with my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/chatsports. So if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now with my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/chatsports and save up to 25% off your first order. Make 2024 your most stylish year yet with True Classic. Now, me personally, I am a big fan of like their athletic shirts. Like I know I wear a lot of t-shirts, and that's what I'm rocking right now. Personally, for me, one of the fits that Alex likes is like when I wear a coat and I'll wear a shirt underneath it, or if I'm wearing like a jean jacket, I'll wear a shirt underneath it. I like to just go with a plain like basic tee like I'm rocking right now. And with the amount of different colors, the way that it fits my body, I like them a lot. I think you guys will like it too. Chuck says, yeah, they look pretty good on you. TrueClassic.com/chatsports. If Chuck says I look good, then hey, maybe I look good. I don't look good as that guy though.
I'll take the tuna.
Pause. Coming up, I'm cutting 6 players to save $30.4 million. Also, I don't know if I said it, those links are available to you all down in the comments, down in the description. Chugs was looking at me with those big eyes of his, and I was kind of getting a little bit flustered, I'm not going to lie. So I'm cutting 6 players right now to save $30.4 million. And the 6 players that I'm moving on from are these guys right from the jump. Brian Hoyer, Brittain Brown, Brandon Facyson, Jacob Bobenmoyer. Moving on from all 4 of those, not a difficult decision to me. Jimmy Garoppolo, Hunter Renfrow, I am going to cut them. However, I am going to designate them as a post-June 1st cut. In the NFL, you're allowed 2 designations post-June 1st cut. So essentially what that means is Garoppolo and Renfrow will not be on the team. They will be able to sign with anybody, and the money that the Raiders get from cutting those players doesn't really impact free agency. It doesn't impact the draft. So essentially, the Raiders are going to get about $24 million after June 1st. The reason why that's important is you can then already pre-plan that you can use that money for extensions. You can pre-plan that money with the players that you go and you draft. So, free agents to re-sign now. To me, there are 5 big names that if I'm the Raiders, I'll bring them back. I'm going to figure out a way to bring back Andre James. I'm going to figure out a way to bring back Adam Butler. I'm going to figure out a way to bring back Amik Robertson. I'm going to figure out a way to bring back Jermaine Eluemunor. And then he is an exclusive rights free agent, so we can sign him. And if another team wants him, they're not going to be able to get him. Isaiah Pola-Mao. These are the 5 free agents that if I'm the Raiders, I am bringing back. Which then a lot of y'all are probably like, well, Mitch, what about Josh Jacobs? And it's a topic of discussion. I get it. Jacobs is one of the best running backs in the NFL. Finished the season with 223 carries for 805 yards and 6 touchdowns. Here's the thing, though. You're going to have to pay him some money. Zamir White showed that he could be a reliable running back. Hell, he's the first Raiders running back in Raiders history, forever, and his first 4 games to rush for over 100 yards 2 out of the 4 times. So Zamir showed you that he can be counted on, and with free agency in the draft, maybe you look to go another way. So should the Las Vegas Raiders bring back Josh Jacobs? Type B for bring back, or I want you to type L for, no, man, you can let him walk. To me, I am doing this. I look at Josh dead in the eyes, and I say, here's my offer. My offer is 3 years, $21 million with $14 million guaranteed. Like, I asked this question the other day on social media, and I couldn't believe the amount of money people were willing to give him. And Jacobs probably laughs at my offer, and if he does, cool. He's not coming back to the Raiders. The only way I am bringing back Josh Jacobs is on a team-friendly deal. To me, this is a team-friendly deal where we lock him in for 2 years, and that final year of his contract, there's nothing guaranteed. We can move on from him. So he's going to play 2 years, $14 million guaranteed, and then after that, we have the opportunity to move on. And honestly, I'd even probably rather just go draft a running back. This is more just based off of me keeping Antonio Pierce and Antonio Pierce saying that Josh Jacobs is the heart and soul of the Raiders. So now let's talk about some players to extend, because if I'm going to keep Antonio Pierce, if I'm going to keep Patrick Graham, I'm going to want some stability. And Max Crosby has said it. A lot of Raiders players have said the word stability. Well, guess what? Even though every single player that is pictured up here on screen right now has 1 year remaining on their contract, my job and what I kind of did in this perfect offseason plan is I tried to build stability on the defense. A defense that was the best Raiders defense since 2002. I'm going to give Robert Spillane a contract extension. I'm going to give Malcolm Koonce an extension. I'm going to figure out a way to get Jack Jones, Nate Hobbs, contract extension. And then on top of that, Tre'von Moehrig has looked much better with the combination of Marcus Epps, and I want to be able to keep both of those safeties together. So to me, if I don't have as much money to spend in free agency, or if I don't have as much money to go out and bring in some big-name guys during free agency, that's okay. I think the plan that I have created allows me to do exactly what I'm doing here. So what I'm trying to do is solidify important pieces to this defense, and if I hire Antonio Pierce, let's say for 3 years, right? You give him 3 years. Well, guess what? I'm going to give these players an extension to ride out with that type of contract, right? Like, I want Robert Spillane, Max Crosby to both have the exact same amount of years on their deal. I want our defense to know, hey, we got Antonio Pierce here. We're keeping Patrick Graham. We're trying to keep everything together. That's what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to do everything in my power to give those 6 players a contract extension. That's why you can use that money that you save from Jimmy Garoppolo. You can use that money from Hunter Renfrow. You pair up a lot of that money, you can get a lot of those extensions done. Now it's time to go to my free agency plan. My free agency plan, if I have one opportunity to spend big, it's right now. I am going to spend big on the defensive tackle position. And the reason why I'm going to do it in free agency is because DT's kind of weak this year in the NFL draft. It is. Last year I thought it was pretty damn strong. This year, it's a little bit weaker. However, though, there are 2 defensive tackles that I like more than the rest. And the ranking system that you're going to see is based on the Raiders. It's not based on overall talent, because Chris Jones would be number 1 on every single person's list. This is me basing it off the list right now for the Raiders. I will admit, Justin there at number 1, he's going to get the most money minus Chris Jones this offseason. Only 26 years old. If you don't get him, Christian Wilkins at number 2, and the reason why he's number 2 on my list is because Wilkins and Rob Leonard, the Raiders' current defensive line coach, remember, Leonard was down in Miami. Leonard was a part of the regime that brought in Wilkins and has worked with Wilkins before. So because of that, if you also haven't watched Hard Knocks, Wilkins is an unbelievable locker room guy that I think would fit great for what the Raiders need. So because of that, and I get it, some people are saying that they're going to be tagged. They might get tagged. My point is, I am willing to spend this offseason big on defensive tackle. I want the Raiders to have the meanest, the baddest, the biggest, the best damn defensive line in the National Football League. Let Malcolm Koonce get more one-on-ones. Let Max Crosby get more one-on-ones. Bring back Adam Butler. Let Tyree Wilson eat in the middle, because if it's Tyree Wilson, Adam Butler, and then you put one of these guys into the rotation, good luck taking down that Raiders defense. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to sign a right guard. Based on my plan that I have created, you're going to have Kolton Miller at left tackle. Your left guard's probably going to be Dylan Parham. I am going to try to bring back Andre James. If you're unable to bring back Andre James, well, then maybe you kick Dylan Parham in at center, and then you're looking for 2 offensive guards. So essentially, I could say I got to find 2 guards. I am going to try to bring back Jermaine Eluemunor. He played a lot better than what people give him credit for at right tackle. But let's just say that this could be the Raiders' offensive line next season, because Greg Van Roten's a free agent. So, okay, I got Kolton Miller, I got Dylan Parham, I got Andre James, I got Jermaine Eluemunor. Well, now I got to go out and I got to find a right guard. And because this season's so important for the Raiders to find a quarterback, you also need to be able to build a great offensive line. And I'm thinking by bringing back Jermaine and Andre James on re-signs, you save a lot more money compared to trying to go out and just finding a new center or finding a new right tackle in free agency. When you re-sign a player, it's a lot cheaper than going out and battling on the open market. So my right guard free agency targets are Kevin Dotson, Robert Hunt, Kevin Zeitler, and Greg Van Roten. Yes, I would be up for the idea to bring back Van Roten again. I get it. He's 34 years old, but I kind of laugh a little bit when I say, like, I would be open to the idea of bringing back Van Roten. And when the Raiders brought back Richie Incognito, a lot of Raider fans were super, super excited. Van Roten's 4 years younger, and Van Roten was really solid this season. Maybe not really solid. He was solid enough. And if I got to go a little bit cheaper and bring back an offensive line with some continuity again, I am willing to do that. It's going to cost a lot for a guy like Dotson, and if you don't get one of those 4 players on a reasonable contract, a contract that you feel like you're getting a good deal on, well, then that's where you could potentially go to the NFL draft and find yourself an interior guard. Now, remember, y'all, we're doing a perfect offseason plan here on the Raiders Report, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all for always tuning into these shows. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Let's go to number 3 here. Sign a cheap corner. If I'm going to try to bring back Amik Robertson, and if I just told you I'm extending Jack Jones and Nate Hobbs, this is where I'm going to look for a versatile, cheap corner that I can just pair with some of these other players, bring them in, or you go ahead and you look at a lot in the NFL draft. So as it stands now, like, what is somebody like Jacorian Bennett? I want to see what we can get out of Bennett going in here a little bit more. I don't think that spending big is the right option. Like, if you told me, Mitch, would you rather spend big at corner or defensive tackle? I would rather spend big on DT. If you want to spend big on corner, his name is Jalen Johnson. And if the Raiders keep Champ Kelly, could be an option. Let's go to another one here, linebacker depth. Divine Diablo's been a big-time question mark. Yes, the Raiders have Robert Spillane, but I still would like to have maybe just one more person for a little bit of linebacker depth, because I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that this linebacker room looks a lot different, right? Divine Diablo, don't know if he's going to be back. I mean, this could be a potential cut candidate. Luke Masterson, yes, the Raiders drafted Amari Burney, but that wasn't a part of this regime, and he was a healthy scratch a lot of the time. Curtis Bolton ended the season injured, and, you just need to be able to find some extra pieces there at the linebacker position, maybe find a little bit more versatility. So coming up now is my plan at quarterback, which is probably the most important thing and probably the number one reason why y'all even tune into this video, right? What's Mitch's plan at QB? Well, if you want to know what my plan is, for those of you that aren't watching this live, you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. All right, here we go. My plan at quarterback. The first thing that I would do, and when I say number one, this is based off like plan A. My plan A is I'm going to trade up for a top quarterback in the 2024 NFL draft. I'm going to walk into that room and I'm going to say, hey, this is the guy that I want, right? You got to be able to study. Maybe that's a guy like Caleb Williams. Maybe it's a dude like a Drake May. Maybe it's somebody like Jaden Daniels. But to me, in a perfect world, and this is my perfect offseason, I'm going to try to figure out a way to get up to pick number 3. Because if I can get up to pick number 3, then that solidifies my ability to get one of those top quarterbacks here in the NFL draft. And I am a believer that there are 3 franchise QBs in this draft and 3 dudes that I would be willing to invest a lot in. I'll admit the reason why I picked number 3 is because the trade capital to get to pick number 3 compared to getting to pick 2 and 1 is significantly less because of, I think Drake May and Caleb Williams are probably pick 1 and 2. But getting to pick 3, not going to be easy, because I don't know if a team's going to trade out. What I actually think is a more likely scenario is a team like the Patriots or Commanders trade with the Bears to get up to number 1. The Bears go to number 3, and then the Bears actually trade back yet again to get even more picks. Like, that to me is a more realistic probability than you trading with New England at pick 3. However, though, I did want to try to explain to you what the cost would potentially be if the Raiders traded up to number 3. This is based off of trade value chart. This is based off of past previous trades in the NFL draft. This is based off of reports. So I try to do not what's just best for the Raiders. I try to do what I think it's honestly going to cost. So the Raiders, they get up to pick number 3. The New England Patriots get the Raiders' first and third round pick in this year's draft, and they also get the Raiders' first and second round pick in next year's draft. So if you're like, yeah, that's not that bad of a value. Like, I'm telling you right now, if this is what it costs to go up and get a Jaden Daniels and pair him with Antonio Pierce, I'm doing this in a heartbeat. If you want to go up to number 1 and say, man, I get to pick anything I want, I get to pick any quarterback that I want, this is what it's going to cost. 3 first-round picks, so pick number 13 overall, your first-round pick in 2025, 2026, 2 second-round picks in 2024 and 2025, and then it's also going to cost you your 3rd-round pick this season. So essentially, your first 3 picks this season, throw them out the window, gone. Your 2nd-round pick, your first 2 picks next season, throw them out the window, gone. It is a lot, but if you can get your franchise quarterback, well then, hey, maybe you try to do it, right? Here's the thing, man. I would do anything to get a franchise QB, and when I say anything, I almost mean anything. I would say any player not named Max Crosby is available for a trade. And I know what that means. I know a lot of y'all are saying, Mitch, you would really trade Devonte Adams for a franchise quarterback. I would. I would trade Devonte Adams for a franchise guy because this is the year that you're going to get the most value out of him. His salary cap hits in 2025 and at 2026 when he's 32 and 33 years old is going to be $44 million. If you don't have your franchise quarterback, I'm not paying a wide receiver $44 million anyway. So the way that I look at it is I'm going to get the most value. And to me, Devonte Adams, because the Raiders have already paid him for 2024, you want 2 first-round picks. But I'll tell you this, the only way I'm trading Devonte Adams is to get a franchise quarterback. So 2 firsts, Devonte Adams, and a 2nd-round pick, that's going to get you up to number 1. So if you want to do that, it's a possibility again. And if this is what I got to do to go up to number 1 to get your franchise guy, cool. Again, personally for me, I would aim at pick number 3 in this year's draft. But here's your go. Job's open. You be the GM. Would you trade Devonte Adams to get a franchise quarterback? I want you to type T for trade or type P for pass. What do you think? Would you trade Devonte Adams to get a franchise quarterback? My answer to this is yes. I would trade Devonte to get a franchise quarterback. Let's go to my other plan here at quarterback. If you can't get a franchise QB because, hey, Mitch, it just costs way too much, then this is where you trade for Justin Fields. You give up a 2nd. I think you might even be able to get him for a 3rd-round pick. Justin Fields would be my option here at number 2 if I can't trade up for a quarterback. My option number 3 would be draft a QB in round 2 or 3. For me, the quarterbacks that I would target here in this area would be a Michael Penix Jr., a Bo Nix. I don't really want J.J. McCarthy, though if Harbaugh gets brought in, it could be a different discussion. And then my 4th plan, sign Russell Wilson to $1.21 million. If none of these work, what you cannot afford is to go into next season with Aiden O'Connell as your starting quarterback. Can't have it happen. It's an awful decision. If none of that stuff works, I would then think about bringing in Russell Wilson at $1.21 million because he's already getting 89 once the Broncos cut him. And the reason why he would do it for 1.21 is because he could stick it to the Broncos because whatever he signs for his next team, the Broncos get a credit for. So why would Russell Wilson sign for $40 million with a team when he's already getting paid a lot of money when he could stick it to the Broncos and then they only get 1.21? For Russ, this is what he would do. So then my final plan here for my perfect offseason is the NFL draft. And if a lot of this stuff happens, again, like to be able to sit up here and say which players I'm going to go after, it's a little bit of a different discussion. I am about to do a mock draft, so you can keep an eye out for that. To me, the Raiders draft needs are this. To me, right now, as it stands, the moment that I am making this video, the Raiders draft needs are quarterback, cornerback, defensive tackle, running back, and offensive line. Like, you can look at a few different things here. Like, if you take a quarterback as early as Jaden Daniels and you don't get anybody in free agency at the offensive line, guess what? O-line's going up more. I base this off of what I did in free agency, and I base this off of everything that I laid out there for my perfect plan. So hopefully y'all like my plan. I know there was a lot in there. This might be the longest Raiders video that I have ever made on this channel, but in order to have a perfect offseason plan, there's a lot to get into. So here's your opportunity to grade my perfect offseason. This would be what I would present to Mark Davis. This is what I would present to the Las Vegas Raiders if I had the opportunity to be the GM of the team. Because to me, if you're not already doing that, you're not the right man for the job. Like, I would want the general manager to walk in there and say, this is the blueprint. This is where I would try to go for this organization. So grade it for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Essentially, The important ones, I'm having Antonio Pierce, Patrick Graham back, Adam Peters as GM. I'm getting 2 extra third-round comp picks for moving on from Champ Kelly. I'm going to try to keep the offensive line intact. I'm going to probably have a guy like Jaden Daniels at quarterback, and I'm going to try to sign a big DT. Those are my big takeaways here. But please grade my perfect offseason here for the Las Vegas Raiders.